All right. In this course, we would be discussing setting up Confluence of Trendline and supply or demand zone. It's a strategy that helps you to determine the point of liquidity pool in the market. That is when lots of traders are suddenly coming into the market to drive the market up or down. Well, let's look at use cases here. Now, this is AUD USD, and first of all, you determine the trend here. Now, as a rule of thumb, let's identify the trend. This is a downtrend. You can see that, of course, a trend line is valid when it has made two touches, 1 and 2. Then on the third touch, confluencing with a supply or demand zone is where we expect lots of traders to come in. At this point, this is a software that helps you to paint areas of supply and demand zone. So for the red paint here, it is a supply zone, and for the blue paint here, it is a demand zone. All right, so we've connected this trend line from supply to supply. All right, from supply to supply zone, and then we see another supply zone connected here. Now, of course, a supply zone is a zone area. Here it has the top area and the low area. For the uptrend, the top area is the most important. For the demand, the low area is the most important. So for this here, we're drawing our line on the top area. So we expect that when the market hits, when the candle approaches here with a wick, it goes down. So we expect this market to dry. You can see that it's responding. There are lots of sellers coming in here, and I can assure you that with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles, we'll have this market go down. All right, so I expect this market to break this zone here, because this is confluence of downward trend line and supply zone. That gives you a sell. Now, another case is a USD card. Let's identify area of confluence here. We see a demand zone here, we see a demand zone here, and so we join those 2 points, take it up. All right, now we expect liquidity pool here. Remember, for the top, you draw the line up, and we also expect liquidity pool here. So we are anticipating liquidity pool at this area. All right, so we're going to have to wait for the market to come there, break this, pull back, hit on this spot, leave a wick, and and then it goes up, and it targets the next confluence at this point. Remember, this is confluence of an upward trend line confluencing with our supply zone. The former was that's for a buy. Yeah, for a sell, it's confluence of a downward trend line confluencing with our supply zone. In this case, it's confluencing with the supply zone. It's going to break it. It's going to break it and turn demand zone, while this is going to get here and drop. It's like a sell limit. So you set a pending order sell limit here. All right, and for the other one, you set a pending order buy limit here. You do that after it has been broken. Yeah, because you might not be there when it's pulling back, so you set a pending order. But now, because this is a cross junction, it's not a single line, so you might not want to use pending order. I don't use it. I try to be on the trade to know when it pulls back and hits on the spot. So AUDJPY, let's see what we can make of this. All right, let's find our trend line first of all. We connect this demand and this demand zone, similar to the previous one. And so we wait for the third touch here, and we expect confluence at this point here. We also expect confluence at this point. All right, so when the market goes up, pulls back, it shoots up. We see a lot of buyers coming in. So confluence of an upward trend line and a demand zone. Now it's a demand zone. At this point it's supply, but when it breaks it, it turns demand. Alright, so confluence of an upward trend line and a demand zone gives you buy, and confluence of a downward trend line and supply zone gives you a sell. So let's look at the fourth example here. This is a 4 hours time frame. Let's see what we can make of this. See this and see this. Alright, and we have a potential confluence here below here. So we expect that the market would make its way here, break through this, pulls back and drops. And the next area of confluence could be here, you know, when it goes down, but let's leave that aside. Now EU, let's see area of confluence. I don't like this market. Let's see what we can join. Nah, let's just leave this. Let's see an hourly time frame and see what happens there. Nah, it's too choppy. Now let's go to EA. Let's see what we can join. We can join this demand zone and this demand zone together. And let's find an area of confluence. You can see a supply zone here. This is an area of confluence. You can see another one here. So we have two potential area of confluence. We have one here, and in the future we expect one here. So the market, but I would rather wait for this one because I expect this to take out this high before proper pullback. So this market is gonna happen. It's on the daily time frame, so you leave this might run into weeks. I don't want to do this confluence because it's stronger when it's printing uptrend, you know, higher than the previous high, then pull back on this confluence and boom. So this is a stronger confluence than this. And last but not the least, let's see how we can trash our confluence here. We connect this and this, and then we find confluence. We see this guy here, although sometimes this software repaints, you know, sometimes, not all the time, just a few times, you know. So we expect that somewhere in the future, this is lower low. I expect it to pull back, you know, go down, you know, even not pull back, print another lower low here and pull back on this confluence here, and then drops. We have another potential confluence in the future. And then the last pair that I have analyzed, let's see how we can get confluence here. We combine this. Let's see what happens here. Nah, I don't really want this, but let's see. Do we have supply zone here? All right, let me switch the time frame and see what we have for the 1 hour. Okay, let's just stick to daily. Daily should be more cleaner. Now if you do daily, that means you're combining this. They're combining this and this, and then expect that in the future somewhere around here it confluences, but that's too far. Let's combine this and this one here. That's still too far, so let's return it back to the 4 hour. So we don't see any supply zone printed yet. So let's just leave this. So we have setup 1. So we expect we're reading the market here, selling down. We set up confluence. We expect it to break this, pull back, and boom. We have another potential one in the future if it doesn't repaint, if it doesn't disappear. And then we have this for buyers. We have, it should break this with force, pulls back, and boom, this is a confluence. So this is how to set up confluence of supply or demand zone with the trend line, with the value trend line. Yeah. So this is the only strategy in the world that determines points of liquidity pool in the market. By that, it means that point at which lots of traders are coming into the market. Suddenly, when the market is highly volatile at a point.